of the hopeless, control the game like the coaches. Stay dropping gems, we the winners, coaching, you know this. Never coasting, always elevating, staying focused. When it's all said and done, we the winners, coaching, yeah. We the winners, coaching. It's all said and done.
Yeah. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Who's Hiring? Cultural commentary for the creatively employed. I'm your host, It's Just JJ. Today we have with us Amani, is Faith, Jay, Duce, Threezy, and Marquise. Threezy and Marquise, can y'all introduce yourself?
We're gonna keep it in, but run my man intro. Run both the intros better. That way we got three.
I was gonna
like you don't sound hyped that you got two new guests, two new people on the Who's Hiring couch. You know what I'm saying? Ain't been
I was
before.
gonna let them introduce themselves.
But just the whole energy was low.
But I'm just saying the way you like say something. But give them some type of like.
I'm gonna sit up.
Some type of energy. You know what I'm saying? First thing I hear on camera is Threezy, Marquise is here, Imani, Jay. What's going on, guys? This is NPR Radio.
Nah.
That is how they talk on air.
Yeah.
All right. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Who's Hiring? Cultural commentary for the creatively employed. It's Just JJ. Today we have with us Amani, is Faith, Jay, Duce. We have Keon, Threezy in the building today, rapper extraordinary. Keith, the educator, the political awareness man himself. Can y'all introduce yourselves? This is your first time on the show.
Threezy Kane. You know, I'm just here so I don't get fined. I know what's good, yo.
Yo, my name is Marquise Davon. I am the host of the Keeping It a Bean podcast, founder of Leroy's Blend, a black-owned coffee brand here in Philly, educator, speaker, activist, social justice person. We out here.
Thorough. This is thorough. I love these. I love this semblance of people because it's not often we have a chance to talk about things like this and have a chance to, really weigh in on what's going on with the culture. So, for today's check-in, matter of fact, let's tell them about our week. How we doing this week? How we feeling? Let's get a just a self check-in. I'll go first. I'm feeling good. The reason why I'm feeling good is because life is extraordinary. It come with lessons and you learn from them. This week, what did we do? We pitched a proposal this week.
Oh, you gonna say it now? I thought we should wait.
No, I'm not gonna.
No details necessary.
I'm not giving crazy details. I'm just saying, you learn. You learn things from the things that you do. And every time you put yourself in a position to learn things, it's important. I think that sometimes people shy away from opportunities because they're scared of perception. They're scared of what people might say. They're scared of a no. But even to get to this point in where we're at with the winners culture, or where we're at just in general, all of the lessons that we've learned came from courage, came from the boldness to do something in the first place. So just with that knowledge, I feel inspired. You see what I'm saying? How y'all feeling?
That was a word.
Okay, preacher.
Right.
How am I feeling? I don't know after that sermon. I think I feel good though, man. How's everyone feeling as far as, you know what I'm saying, they weekend, and we looking forward, Sixers, you know what I'm saying? Big time for us all. Hey, first time, but in a while, all Phillies teams made the playoffs. So I'm saying energy in our city a little hype right now.
Sports.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, by the time y'all see this, we might have made out the first round. So like, I ain't gonna drink, but hey, by the time you see this,
right,
we might be going to the second round. So you know what I'm saying? Playing those Knicks again. You know what I'm saying? I kind of like that matchup a lot now. So let's make it happen. But how about everybody else?
I got a beef with my one group chat, all my New York homies.
That would actually be a lot for me. Like Sixers versus Knicks, my loyalties would actually be divided. And I'm not even a big sports person, but we'll see. My week was good. My week was on the other side of like making a proposal and do all the work that goes into it. Is like exciting, it's inspiring, it's all of the motivational speech, and it's also tiring, like in real life. But I had a good week nonetheless. I really feel like I was like drained most of this week, like staying up till like 2, 3, 4 a.m. getting stuff down like consistently this week. It was one of those. But it's all part of the process. I really have like faith that the things that are meant to stay with me, like on the journey, will stay with me, and the things that are meant to fall away over time will fall away. Like every time I talk to someone, they're like, "You're doing so much," and I am, and it's a lot. But
get into it.
but I really do have faith that like this is just a season of like say yes and try, because a few years ago I wasn't doing any of this at all. So it's like say yes, let it keep accumulating, and then over time I will have to make the decisions that say, all right, this is a priority, this isn't a priority. I value this isn't important to me, and no things will fall away and some things will stay on. But right now it's a season where it's just like it's a lot. Yeah.
No, that's beautiful. I know me personally, I've been in the season of gratitude for real. Just because these last 6 weeks have been busy, going to LA for an award show, coming back, speaking, hosting a gala, doing a live show, getting like a lot of stuff has been going on. But yesterday was a cool moment for me to reflect, especially just as we entered a new month. I was just like, all right, I'm talking to a bunch of students and they're all asking me questions around like, well, what's your creative journey like? And what does it mean to like make money as a content creator? And how do you balance that out with a 9-to-5? And so it actually gave me a moment to actually just reflect on where I've gotten. And so I was explaining like so often me growing up was always like, all right, graduated high school, great. Go to college, graduate college, great. Get a job, do this. But I never took time to actually just sit down and like smell my roses of just being like, Marquise, you did a lot of like important things. And so something that sticks with me is a student had asked me, are you living the life that your younger self dreamed of?
Okay.
And I looked, I said, well, damn.
Right.
But in reality, it was a moment of just extreme gratitude because I was just like, me as a podcaster, that's the world that I created that doesn't require any rules. I get to just show up as my full self. Me in education, I'm working in my purpose. I have the work-life balance that I need, all of that good stuff. And so despite, some irritations and whatnot, and though I was tired this for the month of April, I just found myself being like, Marquise, you've attained so much just by hitting 30 and just knowing to see what's going to come after that. So in a space of gratitude, reflection, but also like yesterday someone said, you like Philly James Baldwin. And I said, that's the ultimate compliment. And I'm going to take that.
Yeah, take it.
Congratulations,
and run with it.
You really touching the people.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, dog.
Yeah, take it and run with it. That gratitude is so important because, like you said, it's so easy to just go, to just do, to just run. And sometimes you have to live in that mode because that's the only way that you see tomorrow, that you see next week. But I think more of us, especially Black people, because, we be stressing ourselves literally to death. Literally to death. More of us need to take seriously the importance of like stopping, reflecting, appreciating ourselves. And I'll even just say that separating that like that reflection and that gratitude from like the indulgence of celebrating, because I think that sometimes that can feel like I'm celebrating a big moment. I'm celebrating. Because that speak personally to me. Then I'll spend the money on the food and the whatever. And then you right back into a cycle of like, all right, now I got to work to make up for what I just like indulged in versus like just being able to literally rest and reflect and say, I appreciate, I'm grateful for more of that.
Through and through.
Threezy.
I mean, I say for real, like I've been having like a great month or something. Like everything.
Great month. You running your movie? Stop, man.
Like,
I'm letting you be cool, but go ahead.
Everything outside traveling, I definitely be out, but everything really like slowed down for me. Like
you say I discounted all the traveling he been doing real quick. Yeah, outside of traveling every other week, but
I do be out. But like I feel like everything is like slowed down where I can kind of like just see everything at the moment. Like money good. Family good, being really locking in the gym. Procrastination really stopped. Like I just be like, all right, I'm gonna just go and do it, and I don't be feeling burnt out. Like I feel like I'm getting the most out of every single day. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
I think at first it was like I'm trying to catch up here, catch up there. Like I'm doing really everything I want to do right now.
So coming back because it's your
feeling.
first time appearing since you came back to the city. It's a positive like switch from being in the ATL.
A little bit. I still miss like ATL, but it was good coming back. It's just I see the work I can do out here. I can get more out of myself out here, but I wouldn't really close the door on me being back out there. Like,
really?
I'll be jumping back and forth. I'll always be traveling. So.
Yo, speaking of being back, being here, Philly in particular, right? What's y'all biggest Philly pet peeve?
My joke for the rip, like I was saying earlier, is like when the light turn green, it's an automatic beat behind you. Like, that joint
We don't got no
burn me out.
patience. We don't got no patience.
I be ready to just jump out the car like, yo, bro, what's up? Like,
Yeah,
what,
that
like,
does ruin my mood.
Yeah, like,
Real
what
bad.
did you see that I didn't see? Because it just turned. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand. And then, like, they'll be speeding, and we end up at the same red light.
For sure.
Like, crazy thing. JJ Grandpa actually, he told us one day, he was like, they like when you speeding, you basically like you rushing to hell because you're not really gonna go nowhere. You're going, you either gonna bang out or crash, or you're gonna be at the same spot as me. So it's like it's no point of really like speeding. Like you might get there a minute earlier, but that's nothing. You know what I'm saying? So
Shout out to Papa with his legendary one-liners.
yeah,
You speeding to hell.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah, no, for me, my biggest joint is just Philly negativity in general. Like, it just feel like everybody be hating everything. Like, nope. Like, if you go on No Gun Zone, like all the kids is ruined. The generation is over. Like, Philly, the worst place, and it's the darkest. Everybody killing It's like, bro, like, can I live? Like,
See, that's funny. I feel like mine is like the opposite. Like, not the opposite, but mine is like real life meme mugging. Like the internet stuff is like, all right, the internet stuff to me is it's money and being negative on the internet. But in real life, a meme mug, a nigga just staring at me down the street, a person, I'm gonna bleep myself later, but somebody staring at you down the street for no reason, and
I don't
you
get that too
in a
much no
stare
more.
off.
I don't
get
I
that too
smile now to get off it, but it happened the other day, and you kind of combat it, and I just see that if we could get rid of that, it would be so much better for our community.
I smile at everybody when I walk past.
That's what be cracking me up.
What's going on,
I be
Brody?
walking down my block and they be like, "You're not from here, are you?" I be like, because I say, "Good morning, how you doing?" I go to the niggas on the stoop and they just be like, "What?" And I be like, "Yeah, well, good morning." But funny enough, they stopped me the other day and was just like, "I think I saw you on TikTok. Yo, I'm a fan of what you be saying." And I said, I've reached a different level of fame.
Nah, that ass.
Hood
When niggas on the-
famous?
Yeah, it's a different
Yeah,
thing.
I'm sorry. They stopped right at the bodega. Both of them. Come on.
Yeah.
Nah, but if I'm thinking about like a Philly pet peeve, low key, it's some parts of nightlife be frying me. I'm not gonna hold. Like, I think around some of the clubs here, and I think the clubs need to find their own sense of identity. I think I kind of get annoyed because everybody want to be like a DC, want to be a Park, want to be all these other spots. Philly not built like that. DC for the bougie of the bougie.
Yes.
And some hood adjacent. But bougie of the bougie.
Yes. That's why people go there.
That,
for
quite
that
literally,
experience.
you want that experience. I think Philly doesn't need to find itself in these other larger cities. I think Philly's nightlife and those who are promoting and those who are the owners, they're always trying to do like, let's do a section, let's do this, let's demonstrate what we got. If you don't stand up and dance,
Yeah.
go have fun. Y'all making me mad.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that's the thing, like Philly nightlife, club promoters, club owners, create their identity for itself because Philly's mad dope in that respect.
Yeah.
Stop chasing what everybody else got because that's not how Philly's gonna operate.
Yeah. If you're trying to stand up and dance at the party, I gotta say, you know where you gotta go? International Bounce.
Every time DJ Nat's gonna have a good time. Gonna have
Every
a good
time. My Philly pet peeve. This is deeper than a pet peeve for real, but it'd be the fact that you can't leave your car out on the street without fearing for its life at the end of the day. Because I'm so serious, y'all. The number of windows, the number of ignitions, the number of tires. Yeah, when I tell you Philly has shown me some tough love when it comes to my car, just being parked out on the street in my regular neighborhood, that's my Philly pet peeve.
Yeah, no, I agree. When I was saying like, I do believe. I feel like people to people, Philly people, not that bad. Like Philly people do have manners and all that, but people to possessions, that's a different. That's a different
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I can't really vouch for your possessions.
Anywhere though, that's anywhere. Man.
Right.
They smash and grabs Atlanta, New York.
Cities.
Houston,
Cities. But I definitely had like more experiences on average here than like most people that I know like at home in Queens or.
Okay, that's big to say because there's a lot of people at home. So damn guys, do better. Do better, Philly. That's crazy.
All right, boom. Let's get to work. So for today's Let's Get to Work section, we talking about, Philly right now is in a little bit of political turmoil. A lot of people got a lot of things to say about the mayor. A lot of people got a lot of things to say about the school situation, our whole, education setup in Pennsylvania or in Philadelphia specifically. And also the congressional primaries coming up. So it's a lot of things going on. So our question for today is, What's your level of civic engagement, and what's the perceived level of engagement of our generation, of civic engagement for our generation? So what's your level of civic engagement currently, and what's the perceived level of civic engagement for our generation in your eyes?
Personally, like from the outside looking in, I think our generation specifically, I feel like we've been more in the mix than any other generation in terms of really knowing what's going on, trying to make a change.
When you say any other generation, you mean
Like when you look at before, like I'm talking about like the youth wise, like not when you like as young as we are. I feel like a lot of people like right out of college really like jumped in the field in the community and trying to like make changes and keep people aware. Whereas when I was younger, I didn't really. Everybody in politics was like older.
Yeah, since the civil rights movement.
since
I
the
would
civil
say.
okay, since the
This
civil rights
generation is
movement.
Yeah,
Okay,
so, like-
last couple generations since crack. Yeah,
Hold on. Since why he
The way
said
that you
crack.
said it.
no, because
He
crack.
said, well, basically because they was on
We
crack.
definitely
crack
know.
epidemic.
The crack epidemic slowed our progress.
We definitely know what you mean.
Yeah, substantially. So like, I think it's pre-crack era and post-crack era.
Gen
And
X
we're-
and late millennials.
Yeah.
Elder millennials.
We know what you mean.
I mean, I think as long as we know, like, we understand the change we can make, it's gonna be better because like you see more youth trying to get involved and make changes. Personally, like I said, since being back, experience in Georgia and then coming back here, it's a lot of different things I'd be conflicted with. So I kind of like right now I'm just sitting back and observing and seeing how things is. Like I'm not about to just be like, oh, I'm gonna do this because everybody else doing this. Like, nah, I want to sit back and really see like how it is, you know. So I mean, that's without saying too much. That's how I feel like in terms of my civic engagement right now.
So like two things I feel like shape my relationship to civics in Philly. One is the fact that I'm actually not from here, right? So I didn't grow up with a deep understanding of how Philly's political system works, and also I think there's a difference between like there's the political system and how it works in Congress on the floor versus how people actually experience the effects of that over a lifetime. So that's the part that I didn't grow up with the fundamental understanding of. But on the flip side, the second thing is that I work for Philly's government. I work for the city of Philadelphia. So I'm seeing and have this back office understanding of what people are actually doing when they're talking about how they're spending their money. $30 million on public safety, and I've worked for the Office of Public Safety for the past 2 years. I could give you a really good breakdown of how that money is being spent and who the people are that are spending it and what their considerations are and all of that. So my civic engagement really looks like being engaged at the job that I'm doing and with the people that are benefiting from the services that we're providing. I've had like really interesting opportunities to be in close relationships with people that are running nonprofits across the city, violence prevention nonprofits, but that's a super broad umbrella. So it's people that do all sorts of stuff. And now I'm working with violence interrupters, who are people that go into communities and like actually mediate conflicts, build relationships with people that are most at risk of violence. And those are just two very, very, very interesting ways and lenses to see the city, and trying to be a good whatever role I am playing in my job, trying to be good at that, but also trying to be a good community member to those people just as people. I think that that's like really the deepest depth of like my civic engagement is in trying to be a good community member and a good steward of my job in those different roles and communities. But then there's also the winners culture and really just trying to stay like aware of what is happening culturally across the city so that I'm speaking responsibly, so that I'm sharing information responsibly. And even in that, I feel like what I was saying before about the toggling between doing and thinking, doing and reflecting, I spend so much of my time, probably like 85% of my life is on go mode, is on execute mode. And that other little 15% is spent on like reflecting and reading and learning and thinking. And I feel like that's required in order to really be a responsible like citizen, is to not just like read the news, but to internalize it, is to think about it, is to figure out how it fits into what you know. And I feel like I want actually in my balance of life to be doing more of that and less just consuming, but I don't think that that's where my balance actually is right now.
Yeah. I actually love that answer. I think for me, I'm very civically engaged. So I sit in the Working Families Party. I help them out with some stuff. So I really sit with Kendra Brooks's team a lot of the time, Nick O'Rourke's team a lot of the time here in Philly. what got me a little bit more civically engaged was actually being an educator. And so because of that, I see the worst of poor policy because of how it impacts my families that I get to serve. And so I think that for me has fundamentally shifted how I engage with politics, but also recognizing like it's such a necessity for someone like me who can interpret politics, understand it, think around the actual political implications, but also cultural implication that's going to have. And a lot of my forefront is just like, how are working Black families navigating in this space? And so I would say like I'm heavily civically engaged. So I've done canvassing, I've done political education. I sit down through some of the roundtables. I sit there and look how policy is being shaped. And so being able to be a part of some of those insider knowledge of that space. And then I'm a communicator of information. So when there's something where I'm just like, hey, I think this should be on everybody's radar, I do my best to utilize my platform to do it in that kind of way. When I think around our generation as a whole, though, everybody millennials?
I'm
Okay,
like
great.
right on that line. I can't even lie.
It's okay. I'm 95, so we are on the
Yeah.
line. We right there on the cusp. But even in that space, though, we are still a very civically engaged group. Even if you look at some of the exit data and exit polls, we were still heavily engaged in terms of what politics were doing. And you'll see the class difference. You'll see the educational difference in terms of how different people pop out and vote. So I would say, like, though online we see a lot of chatter because a lot of people have feelings that are deeply tied to politics because that affects our humanity. However, those who are going out to vote, we are becoming a larger and larger voting bloc as it is in terms of the electorate. And so those are the folks that are going to actually engage. And remember, only 50% of America actually votes. And so that also is very important to make note of in larger cities. But then when you think around Philly specifically, if you look at some of the smaller elections as well, I think we only got 8% of the city to come out and vote.
Yeah. Every time
Right.
I go in there to vote, they be like, "We are so glad to
glad
see
to
you,
see
baby."
you. So glad, happy you're here, right? And so I think we see the jadedness, and that'll be my end point. We see a lot of jadedness also happen is because we see so many of our elected officials who say they're supposed to, they want to respond to what our concerns are, but so often we don't feel the effects of those responses, or we see ourselves actively being ignored in terms of what we want, which is very jarring for any of us to be like, I want to engage in politics, but do they actually care about what we have going on if they're not even going to abide by the people who elected them to be there?
Yeah.
And so I think that's the tension I'm seeing right now.
I think for myself, my political activity, my engagement. So when I was young, I spent a lot of time around my grandparents, and they couldn't vote. Like growing up, they couldn't vote. They couldn't vote until they was like, in their 30s, and they have stories where they had to go to the back of the bus, and stories of just like the extreme type of racism that we hear about in textbooks. And so since they gained the ability to vote, they never missed a vote. And so they passed that on to me. Like it was like it almost felt like a family's tradition. We just don't miss a vote. So there's been plenty of times when I've been in the booth and I don't know who this person is, but I'm hitting the button because I gotta keep it going. I'm not gonna be the small that I'm not gonna be the small that break the tradition. You see what I'm saying? From civil rights. So that that kind of got me started. But I would say, like, so voting, which is important, is something I do and have done for a while. But when it came to like actually knowing what's going on, I think now is the most civically engaged I've been, purely by chance. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Like we started doing the winners culture, and then people who did politics started asking to come on the platform, or people started asking me to speak on certain things, or I ended up in certain meetings. We interviewed the mayor. You feel them? So it's like now I got to figure out what's going on because I can't be. You know what I'm saying? I can't be just up here saying anything. So that got me to a level of, I started to understand what's going on. And once I started to understand what was going on, I felt like it's a feeling of like, dang, this is sad. Like the feeling, I felt like once you like get a peek behind the curtain, it feels a little fake. And I think it goes to the point that you made earlier that so little of us vote. So the people that are in the positions don't really have anybody to represent because our vote, like it's a small percentage of people that are actually voting and their interests are narrow. But if you want to get reelected, you need to, appease those interests. Whereas the broader public, it seems like it don't work because we as a people don't vote. So it's like we don't even know what it could look like if we as a people try to stand behind the issue, because we just don't do that. So on the scale, if I'm gonna give it a 1 out of 10, I say a 6. And the reason why I say a 6, I kind of know what's going on. I do vote, but I'm not as active as going around canvassing for people, standing behind causes. You know, I had my time getting out there, protesting and doing all those things, but that time passed. You see what I'm saying? So now I'm trying to, my goal more so is to spread awareness so that we can make more of our own decisions.
But I think that's actually a lot of the work, though, too. I often think that people forget, like, the role of a commentator or the role of a journalist or somebody now, and I'm speaking in a new media age, not the traditional media age, is important. There are so many folks who, when I put up that video about Chris Rabb and the other candidates, so many people were like, oh, I actually didn't know any of this stuff was going on. I actually didn't realize, because remember, this started from 11 candidates and down to 3. Yep. So it was so hard for people to keep up with something. So even that they have somebody to go to who talks to people about politics, or at least has somewhat of an awareness, I think that's still just as important, because a lot of people are lazy consumers. We'll start there. So people don't actually like engage fully. Some people actually just don't know definition. So I realize part of my job in political education is capacity building. And so I need to, you don't know what you don't know. And I think about this for my families. If you're the first in your family to go to college, I have to build their capacity so they know what questions to ask. And if we translate that over to a political thing, what we really have to do is do better at articulating a class struggle, articulating the race struggle, articulating a Philly struggle.
Yeah.
Everybody knows one thing on people's list is gun violence. The thing right now is schools. How are we protecting our babies? How are we keeping them educated? There are playbooks as to how we can do these things. But unless there's a person who can say, hey, there's a lot of gun violence happening between the hours of 2 and 6. It's happening between the ages of 14 and 22. What's between those hours of 2 and 6? Students are getting out of school. They don't have any more third spaces or after school spaces as much that they can go to. And if they can go to them, they have to pay for them. Schools can't supply a third hot meal of the day for after school programming. Parents who get out at 5 have to also rely on their kids to go travel back home safely. So you think around all of that, how are you going to attack violence, child violence, or youth violence happening right now? How are you occupying those hours from 2 to 6 or 2 to 7, right? Now, again, that's just one example of what could be done. But unless we can all come to a critical mass of being like, do all 5 of us agree that this is an issue?
Yeah.
How do we get 5 more people to understand it's an issue? So when you change the culture of how people see an issue, policy has no choice to follow, because now you see that there's a fundamental difference on how, hey, our kids are not doing well. All of us can now say, City Hall, what y'all doing?
Yeah.
Because you actually control the funding for after school programs. What are we doing? Right? But you need to be able to articulate it for everybody to communicate it properly. But that's what I think the winners culture does.
Thank you.
I was about to say, I think it's important for like success stories like us to kind of tell our story, especially because we can get out to a bigger platform. Because like I ran track, and like right after we got like out of school, we went to some program where like they gave us like these little lunches, but it was a space where we was like basically busy until track. You know what I'm saying? And when I think about like at the moment, I didn't really think of nothing else. But as I'm older, I'm thinking like that really could have saved us, because the same homies I got that you might see like in jail and like just, you know, was in messed up situations. Like the only difference was they wasn't at that program. You know what I'm saying? So they was doing something completely different because they didn't have a reason to, you know, be in a safe space. And when you cut those type of programs, it really do affect people. You know what I'm saying? But
And I think
you wouldn't know unless you had somebody to talk about it.
I was about to say, to that same point, I really think that one thing, and this is just a note for me and the winners culture in general, is something that we got to start doing is start connecting, you know, people to policies and people to programming, because a lot of times we don't hear about the people that actually went through the program or people that was actually affected by the policy. So it just seems like some thing that's up in the air, or just some, you know, we talking about a thing that affect real people, and that's why we're talking about the thing, but the people that was affected by it never speak on it. And so, you know, it goes away or it comes in, whatever the case would be, without us really ever having documentation of the impact that was had or wasn't had.
And that's what I was gonna say. Like the flip side of the getting people, citizens, constituents to be able to articulate what they're experiencing in a way that moves the needle forward. The flip side is getting government policymakers, program leaders, nonprofits to be able to articulate what they're doing in a way that connects to those constituents and citizens, because there's a missing piece. I'm on the side where I see all these resources, all these programs, just like all of it, this constellation. Philly's actually not at a loss for people that have the willpower and the way to create opportunities that we're missing, but there is the missing piece as far as people knowing what is out there, people knowing how to access it, people believing in the value of it. Like, for example, and I'm gonna try to make this general, but also she was an inquirer, so it is what it is, right? Like, a major city grant that funds nonprofits across the city has a PR issue for a lot of different reasons. And my true response to that PR issue, there's like different ways to fix it. There's the back end way where it's like, okay, we try to make all the numbers make sense, and we try to line every single dollar up so that no one can say that we are misspending or misaligning. But the other piece of that to me is just speaking more accurately and more confidently about the impact that the money that's going out is actually having. That's what people, they don't care for real about what the accountants say about the dollars. We only get to that point if I don't believe that the impact is actually being had through the effect of the dollars. So you worried about the nickels and dimes, but the people want to see what impact is this money actually making. If you can justify the impact, I'm gonna forget completely about whatever, you know what I mean? So we focus on the wrong things, but that communication piece is also lacking. Is how do policymakers, how do government officials, how do nonprofits, how do program leaders articulate and share what they're doing and creating so that citizens understand where to find them, understand how to make use of it.
All right, so yeah, we have a political commentator in the building today.
I think he has an actual, title you want. In the political field, there's a title that works better for you? No,
commentator makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if
He
political
swear
influencer
I don't know what
makes
he's
sense.
talking about. Like,
I have no.
I thought he had
I got
I'm saying it just like everybody else.
Oh no, I'm just a content creator that covers politics. Yes.
So we see that it's a lot of talk on the internet about a bill being gutted, the Voting Rights Act, through a decision by the Supreme Court. So can you give us a little background on it?
Yeah, so right now the Supreme Court has officially gutted the second section of the Civil Rights Act. And so in this particular section, it is the one that makes sure that you are looking at how race is being factored into how people are able to vote for their congressional seats or whatever, or the people who they want to represent them. And so based on this, what they used to do was essentially gerrymander the maps that would essentially separate out Black people and where they were living in specific communities in order to then sully the vote. And so if there's a person that the Black community has designated as like a leader or somebody that they would like to elect, that Black vote ultimately is rendered useless and rendered unimportant. And so what they are now able to do is essentially remove your ability to vote based on race. And so if they wanted to gerrymander Philly, they could say, well, most of South Philly is going to have the ability to vote, and we know how they voted last time versus North Philly or West Philly, where a lot of Black folks are concentrated in. And so you can divide up the voting power and block as well. And so that's what's really happening. So long story less long, they made it pretty much legal to discriminate against us in order to vote.
And I think another crazy point about that is I feel like a lot of people don't realize how Pennsylvania is in itself. Pennsylvania has 17 congressional seats, right? And 10 of them right now are Republican. And I feel like if you just was in Philly, that wouldn't feel right? That there's a Republican majority in both our state legislature and our national representative in Congress, right? Even our Senate which is only 2 seats, and one of them supposed to be Democrat, is really Republican.
Yep. And
so
Philly's unique because we have 3 seats that cover the congressional race as opposed to like everybody else having 1.
Yeah. And so I think back to what you were saying, mainly the importance of these races and the importance of how things are, how our districts are shaped is extremely important, because currently as it stands, the majority of people live in Philadelphia and in Pittsburgh, right? It's red in between that. We know that. But the voices of the people can't really be heard to that extent because things aren't aligned towards where the people are. It's really they're giving a voice to the land. They're giving voice to the farms, and not that they shouldn't have it, but what I'm saying is that if they can successfully redistrict in this way, a lot of the power from a lot of the voices that we believe should be amplified won't be, just because there's a way that you can divide the map up to say that even a state like Pennsylvania has 10 Republican representatives to 7 Democratic representatives.
I think you got interesting experience with this. Me too, as well. When we were in a smaller part of the state that is a very heavy Commonwealth area, and we're asked to sit on some political conversations in part of different groups and coalitions. And you kind of see that, like, whenever we spoke, they just were shocked. Like, what? That go like whenever you bring something up, they have no clue to what Philly's going on, what's Pittsburgh, what these other cities going on. They're so into their own small, secluded part, but represent so much of a strength of the state that it affects how we kind of move through things. Like, you can see it in real time that, like, yo, this person doesn't understand this. These students are here, for example. These students are here, and it's bringing so much money to the town. But because of their skin color, it's causing some type of reaction to the town. But the town is also benefiting from them. So that was their conflict at the time.
And we literally swing like PA is a swing state. So it's like it's so crazy to be in a place like Bloom that is clearly red. Like, it's not. It's just.
Oh, y'all right.
Yeah.
Oh, I was at Susquehanna.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Down the street.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the Grand Wizard. He down the street too. But
Yeah. No, that's real rap. But to see that it's like 10 of y'all here, but like y'all have the ability well, like, because of how it is, y'all have the ability to swing and put somebody like Trump in office. So it's like all of it. I think we definitely have to be more engaged, but ultimately this brings us down to our Philly point. We went from super
Can I ask a
national
question
to,
on that? I think Marquise want to know. That doesn't affect too much of these midterms. It'll affect a lot of future midterms.
Yeah.
But it's like 3 places this can affect.
But there are some spaces that it will affect, but it's harder to see what's going to happen by this Voting Rights Act being gutted immediately, because a lot of spaces are in the middle of their primaries already. So people are already voting, people are already doing the thing. So it's going to be very hard to kind of say last minute, I'm going to redistrict these things, right?
Yeah.
And so what we're really going to have to look forward to is in the November, when we have to vote again, they have opportunities now to say, well, voting can only happen from 7 to 3.
Yeah.
Voting can happen if you're in line, because remember, if you stay in line long enough, you can still vote as long as you are in line. They cannot deny you your ability to vote. And so we see this, the impacts of this we will see primarily happen within the South. Oftentimes what happens in the South is what can get replicated over here. And so by us seeing what was happening in Georgia and South Carolina and Texas, there can be bomb threats. They can stay in line. They can tell you to get out of line. They can intimidate you if you're in line.
Park ice right there.
Park ice right there. And so
Texas was bad with it.
Exactly. And so this is really the things that we are ultimately going to see is how will Jim Crow essentially play out by 2026.
And my last point on this, and for the people that be confused and that may support the other side, and that their reason for this is because the fact that they feel discriminated because it was something to protect against the discrimination at that time.
Correct. And let's also be clear.
Yeah.
The country white folk are going to be the most impacted because they don't have access to, Trump cut off their access to equitable Wi-Fi. So they also don't have that. There's a technological deficit happening as well. And so when you think around folks who are in the more rural areas, if we're looking at Pennsylvania alone, they shot themselves in the foot as well, because now they are going to ultimately lose some power. They assume that they already have power, but in reality, they're going to have a shrinking of significant resources, because rural poor is very different from city poor.
For sure.
And I do not want to be anybody's rural poor, because you are so far away from any resources that are necessary.
Yeah.
And so those are going to be where we see the impacts of white people will have their crash out when they realize they are not fully benefiting at all. And we're starting to see it happen on Fox News and across the board, influencers. But that's going to be when you have starving children in the rural areas. I'm so sorry to them kids.
That's such the interesting part about the way that the American political system is set up, that it requires this, it requires compromise, but it's based on like these two forces that are opposed to each other just off rip, right? Like there's red and there's blue, and you don't even know why you red or why you blue, but you just are red or blue.
Hatfields and
But
McCoys.
yet at the same time, the system is based on compromise between those two forces. That's the basis that all of this is possible on, is that red and blue can reach some sort of compromise to reach. But like we have such totally different experiences. Now we're not even talking about red and blue. We're talking about rural and we're talking about city. We're talking about Philly and we're talking about somewhere out in the middle. We have such totally different experiences that compromise is difficult to begin with, and then you put a layer of red and blue on top of that. Compromise is utterly impossible, but none of it speaks to the reality of like what would actually benefit any of us as individuals. It becomes about this like larger system, this larger identity, this larger political allegiance, but it's like that has nothing to do with a deeper understanding of what benefits me, what is actually happening, what are the decisions that are being made on my behalf because of this identity. But that's the whole entire system. It's counterintuitive.
That's a crazy point too. Like what I was saying before, how most of the people are concentrated in the blue areas, which would make sense because you're exposed to more different types of people, right? So you get used to different ways of living. Whereas in the red zones, you are just around people that are like you. But how are you supposed to look out for the needs of your area when they're so different from the needs of a city, a urban environment, and vice versa? When everybody has to work together, of course you're going to be. And then the other side of it is like ideological and like ethical, right? A lot of the red side really is just on a side of, I feel like this Christian nationalism, like it just is what it is. And so, like if I'm fighting for that automatically goes against my economic empowerment, because the high level Christian nationalists have money. You don't have no money. You don't. And so in that voting, you're voting for your ethics, not for your.
No, it's not even. They're not even voting for ethics. Poor whites are voting for the opportunity to become the elite whites.
Yeah,
that they're voting in aspiration.
Which isn't it isn't a realistic possibility.
No,
like it's like historically that's not a realistic possibility.
They operate because they don't know the elite whites don't like poor whites,
Exactly.
and poor whites will say, "At least I'm not them black people over there."
Exactly,
and then they don't realize that, hey, you actually are food insecure, you're tech insecure,
exactly.
You are educationally
we cousins,
not where you need
like,
to be.
We closer to each other than y'all are to them.
Correct.
Yeah.
But that's what we talked about earlier, is the articulation of a class struggle more than anything. So if we can get working families across the board, but that would also mean you have to care about kids. You have to care about your elderly. You have to care about women. These are all vulnerable populations that the world fundamentally does not care for.
Yeah. And we make these divisions about race, but I think that no matter what line you put it on, like if we're talking about us versus them, if we're talking about power versus vulnerable, most people would not care about that other side of the line. That's not about black or white. It's about, do you care about other people? Do you care about people that are different from yourself? Do you care about people that are immediately outside of yourself? And I think for most people, that answer is actually no. It doesn't matter whether we black or white or different races.
I think you have to come in contact with those people to develop the care, because technically, like even when we think about where we stand as a country in a lot of issues, a lot of the countries that aren't divided are because all the people they're like themselves. Like
it's very homogenous.
Yeah.
I think
we beefing because we not like each other, and we not forced to be around each other except in the cities, and that's where you get a broader worldview. But why would I?
We beefing because white people feel way about them losing, but that's a whole nother. This current beef.
Well, I think it's like working class. You gotta look at like we gotta stop chasing the promise and like do what's best for each other. Like you in the same boat as me. Let's make sure we all prosper, and they gonna do what they do. As long as we do what we do, we comfortable, we can grow. Right. But if we keep trying to pull each other down to get to the top, you're gonna see these type of issues. You know?
Right.
Which I think is interesting though, because I always say like my politicking is an extension of how I treat my closest friends.
Yeah.
And so like in reality, I don't have to ever experience the worst of the world, because at the end of the day, I can go to 6 different neighbors. I can text my friends and be like, I tell the story all the time. 3 years ago, lost job, had to leave my home, had to figure a lot of stuff out. I was substituting in between. I was like, I ran out of my ability to pay for at least 4 months of rent. So I no longer have that ability. My friend sent me boom, 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 boom. Now there's a class thing there, obviously. But the lady from the bodega, when the plastic got into the schuylkill, or into the water system. Let me not say schuylkill. Schuylkill's nasty. But just trifling. But she gave me 2 gallons of water for free. Right? And so those are the things where I also say is like when you see low income or poor communities being able to truly come together. I see it in practice. I don't think we always communicate that out because there's shame around taking help. And so I do think that we don't experience the worst of the world, which is why I would say like city poor is very different from rural poor, because I at least will still be able to barter and still be able to negotiate. But again, I don't think
Still
that's
got
every
a poppy store you can rob if you really get hungry enough.
Hey, yo.
They gotta go in the middle of a cornfield and hopefully something they don't
there.
get
But
caught.
also, like the city government, they're again going back to the resources, the constellation. Whether you know about them or not, resources are concentrated in cities where they're not in rural areas.
Correct.
Like it is a different experience.
Yeah.
So
and wait, all the working class when we talk, it kind of makes me feel like this gap is larger than what it. Because a few years ago, like under Obama, I feel like we probably the best working class president we had since maybe FDR. No,
We have not had a really good working class since the 80s. The 80s is the last.
well, I'm talking about president.
president-wise?
Yeah,
Presidential
Like that
leader
he
wise.
comes from?
and the things he implemented for them, working class.
I won't.
Yeah, I will say yes, but actually
I'm
Biden
really the
is
CARE
the
Act.
Biden is the one who actually gave us the most amount of support as it became progressive policy and policy that helped working families. Culturally, we saw it happen because we saw a black family there. So culturally, we all wanted to do better because it's the Obama effect. However, if we're actually talking around actual policy that was actually passed, Biden has been our most progressive policy and has helped with the most pro-black policies that have happened, because we don't tend to feel it because we lived in the privilege of being in Philly and a city. So if you're in New York, LA, Philly, DC, Houston, you're not going to see it as much. My family down in Charleston, families down in North Carolina, they all felt the effects of what Biden was doing. And so that's why there was always a tension of like, we see ourselves represented all the time, but we also have a privilege of being in a city. If we look at ask people down south, those policies that Biden actually passed were necessary.
I think that when it come down to like why my family from two places. My mom is from North Carolina, and North Carolina poor, like North Carolina ghetto. And that is the most ghetto I've ever seen of ghetto.
Southern ghetto's different.
Like, I thought I don't know what I thought trenches meant. I don't know what I thought ghetto meant. But when I went down, I said, "Oh my, I gotta."
You clutch some pearls.
Yeah, bro, this is my like these are the people that's related to me by blood. I gotta go. I gotta get up out of here.
What's your point though?
My point being that a lot of Philly people, I think, speaking to the negativity that I was talking about earlier, is that we don't feel or we don't see, or even when it comes down to criticism of Democratic presidents, or to feel even why a lot of us didn't vote, which allowed a lot of people to vote for Trump. And you might see like the criticism of people like Mark Lamont Hill and stuff like that. A lot of the thing is that we should have supported the Democrat because the Republican is going to take us back and things of the nature. But we don't feel is a big difference that we don't feel. So even currently, right now, with the shutting down of schools, right? This is something that
Continue.
No, right. This is something that brings us to the political table. It puts awareness because you don't shut down 17 schools overnight. This is something that's been in the water that we just haven't been paying attention to, so we can start pointing blame. It's this person's fault, it's that person's fault. But if we being real, it's our fault. Anything that happens in these arenas has to be our fault, because the people are ultimately the people that hold the power, right? If we didn't show up to the polls, if we didn't make it an issue, if we never spoke on the fact that the air is dirty, that the HVAC don't work, that they need air conditioning, that is not enough money for the foods and there's mold in the foods, which we seen as teachers, or the kids can't read. So when they shut down the schools, what did you think? What was the logical conclusion? Whether or not the school board or the school district did what's right historically with money or not, something had to happen, because the conditions in the school weren't ideal. So what is your opinion on the 17 schools getting shut down in Philly?
As a person, I look at it two ways, right? I always try to it's first pride, right? You definitely would feel away if your school getting shut down. And you would think like, dang, this school getting shut down, like, why? It's like, oh, it's the guy, they doing something. But then when you look at it, like, I always talk to like my coach and stuff, right? He talk about how small the graduating class was. And if these say for example, 100 people graduated, right? That's not good at all.
Right.
And then if you like, you show a classroom, the whole classroom for empty. So it's like it's not 25% is really like that's how the school functioning. And if a school is at 25%, it makes sense shutting some schools down and moving it to the closer school, so it can at least function like bigger. It'd be a little bit better, you know what I'm saying? But it's a lot of things we not educated on or informed about to really know how it's going to work and turn out. But like I said, if the classroom is already not full, it makes sense trying to at least get it full. You know what I'm saying?
And then another part of that, like you were saying, is a lot of the schools get their funding per head. So if your school is at 25% capacity, you need to raise the head count. I was just I was doing an event and I found out that, so I have to verify this, but the person who was an elder said that there's 3 operational libraries in all of Philadelphia public schools right now, across the board. Schools don't have gyms. Schools don't have after school programs. Schools don't have the ability or the capacity to serve students in the best possible manner. And it's the other side of it is that we know that a lot of times we don't trust our school district. We don't trust our school district to do what's right by the money that they are given. Mm-hmm. But just from a business standpoint, it's no way you could have thought that the school was going to remain open at 20% of its enrollment.
Mm. It sounds like the conversation now is about efficiency, right? That's the word that captures what you're describing, is that it's not efficient to run these schools in this way. And so the school board is trying to come to a solution that uses its resources more efficiently. And that makes sense. That's about balancing the books. That's the budgeting side of like running anything from business to city government that like most people don't have an intimate awareness of, and that runs counter to your intuition as a person. Like you're saying, if you're a student at a school, you don't care about what's happening on the budgets. You care about like whether or not my school persists. Now, the bigger question though is, like I was saying, that's the why behind, but the what and the how are the part that most people are actually connected to. So the what is we're closing the schools. The how is how are you actually planning to do this? What is the plan that says that we've thought deeply about how this is going to affect all of the different stakeholders in the situation, and in a way that build that trust that you're saying that people don't have with the school system. And I think that how is lacking in this larger plan, because when we talk about merging the 2 schools, there's the safety issue, right? The Office of Public Safety is really right now, or like the credible messengers that I'm working with are the ones that are going to be on the ground responding to the fact that like kids from different neighborhoods are now going to be placed in schools together is going to be a safety issue. There are going to be violent altercations that happen as a result of this plan. The school district doesn't have an answer for that how as of yet. So then it becomes other people's responsibility to think about the how. And that's fine because we are a collective. But if your plan didn't already include the thinking about that, that's just an example of why people are not going to respond positively to that. And then when you're talking about like the schools weren't fit to serve students and they didn't have, all of that is true. But the question is, does this plan move us closer to the outcome that says that more students have access to healthy, safe, enriching educational opportunities? If by the end of this plan, we don't think that students will have better quality educational experiences, this is just a move to reshuffle things and save money to do, you know what I mean?
Open up the luxury empire.
And I do real quick though, I do want to bring context to that situation, right? Because we talking about when we talk about public safety, right? You know, I was doing the interviews with Billboard. We interviewed a lot of the guys that were in drill, right? 2 of the biggest drill gangs, YBC and CCK, both came out of Overbrook High School at the same time. So we talking about blending neighborhoods when 2 of the biggest gangs came from the already existing structure. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's a problem regardless, and the problem is with conflict resolution amongst the young people in the school, regardless of what neighborhood you're from. Is there enough black men in the school to provide guidance? And I'm speaking specifically to black men, like, because it makes a difference. It makes a difference if there's a man that you respect in this situation to be able to diffuse a situation. All of us as educators can obviously speak to that. You know, it makes a difference if there are supports there to handle emotional based issues, and we not just pushing curriculum to no end, like in terms of learning objectives. So people start to get hyped and excited. Did this neighborhood gonna beef with? They was gonna do that regardless, wherever they met it. Because they be friends anyway. They don't be these big beefs. They don't be with people that just met on the corner. They be with best friends in the same group message. And they'll tell you that. We all used to be cool. But then all of a sudden, this person took this person, girl, now we beefing. Or this person disrespected me in front of the class in the hallway. Now we fighting every day. That's literally how the gang wars start, and they start within the existing institutions. So if we going to be this upset, the schools are, then black men get into school. You see them like
Yes, I think it's a both and kind of conversation, or yes and conversation. Because I want to say, like, for one, I don't think black men being in schools are going to immediately remedy a systemic issue that we see and a cultural issue that's shifting regardless. I worked in a school with all black boys.
Okay,
I had black leadership.
Right.
I had black men who were in the space, right? The reality, though, is there's such a conundrum because they don't naturally see black men as the teachers. We're the disciplinaries 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Which means that there's already entering, if I'm going to go see Mr. Smalls, then it means that I'm in trouble. If I'm seeing Mr. Richards, I'm in trouble, blah, blah, blah. Right? And I think that's some of the stuff that got to switch. I think also part of it is like we have institutions that are trying to increase the amount of black men that are in school. Right? We got CBED, right? Center for Black Educator Development.
Yeah.
But that number went from 2% to 1.2%.
Sheesh.
Right? Like what is also happening within the system that also is not sustaining black men and black people at large.
Overall, the how of the plan.
And then if we get back to even that point, I struggle. I would say for me, I struggle with having to put the blame on the collective and the people. I put the blame on the school board, right? You are officials who actually had the ability to make this decision. Your leadership made this decision. There's a reason the city council's suing the school board right now, right?
Sure are.
And they sure are. But you also have to understand when we finally asked our families to do what we wanted them to do, are you showing up to these school board meetings? They were. Are you articulating your points? They are. Are you applying pressure? They are. Have they asked the questions? Because every time, if you go back and watch some of these hearings, them going back and forth, I don't know, you got to ask so-and-so. I don't know, you got to ask so-and-so.
But why did it? Right? But why did we get to the point where the schools was already shutting down for this? The school board, like the school district, were not using their money correctly previously.
Well, I don't think that's an indictment on the people. I think that's an indictment on the board, and that's an indictment of poor leadership. So I would actually say you have to ask the superintendent how we got here. Okay. Because I think so often we don't ever place blame on the person, on the actual culprit. We tend to function on the symptoms of a root issue. So we can blame each other because we're accessible to each other. But if you actually look at the people who are actually doing the thing, that whole school board, them 6 school board members who decided to vote for, those are the ones who we do not bring back in 2 years. In 2028, they don't need to be here because they don't need to be in a space to see that vision and that detriment that they did to our students. They don't need to be there to see that vision fully realized because they themselves showed us that they actually don't want to respond to the people.
So I'm just trying to see what other option what logical option do you have when the kids aren't coming to school? What logical option do you have when but you see what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, I'll first say you gotta think about like the whole point of it, right? And what we really worried about. Like even our initial conversation is like how the kids are gonna get along, all this. If we move all these kids to like another school, that doesn't fix anything because like we need to create the programs to keep them safe.
Right.
If we just move them and don't create no new programs or put money into the schools to make the school actually safer and better, it did nothing. Now you just put a whole bunch of kids in a burning building. So now everybody going up.
And now you need to hire more deans. And then we're a generation that be like, you think I'm staying at this job to fight no kid?
Right.
Raise your kids.
And that's the cycle of it all. Is like if the plan doesn't alleviate the cycle, then it's not actually about the ultimate objective, but it could be about the efficiency, but the efficiency isn't the same thing as educational outcomes, right? The efficiency of resources is one goal, and it is an important goal in a larger city system that says we have bills to pay, we got people to pay, the city's budget needs to be balanced. So it's an important goal in that conversation, but it's not the same thing as a goal in a conversation around how do we increase educational opportunities for young people? How do we
legalize weed in Pennsylvania? If you legalize recreational marijuana and you instead of trying to do a ride share tax and the tobacco tax and all this.
What is the underlying reason behind not though? Is it because like it's a Quaker state? Like what is the
I can't even give you an accurate answer to that.
like why?
It probably got
legit-
something to do with the jails.
Well,
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I'm
There.
quiet. I'm letting y'all rock because I'm really I don't like none of this. Like it all. Like even to hear like the stuff Key fighting for is fighting to get back to what it was when I was a kid. We had the programs, we had the things, and we still had it. Like in a situation, the foundation has been kind of rotted for me since watching the system myself growing up, hearing about Philadelphia school in its heyday for my parents and grandparents, for them in that time when they did. Like my mom graduated college at 19, and that was based off of the education she got in middle and high school from the teachers and people that value in her life because of the sense of community that was around. So without the sense of community, like you could do all you want in the school area, but when I walk out this building, it's time to get active. Like
if you actually pay attention though, like that's why I found it very interesting when I moved to Philly and learned like the school system here is fundamental. Coming from Reading, I have one high school to pick from. So everybody going to the same high school, no matter what. And that man, Latin Kings were fighting, Crips, Blood, whoever, we was all in the school together. However, there was also a sense where we felt obligated because we all went to our neighborhood schools. And there was a sense of obligation because I would get up, I would get my two little brothers ready. We walk by, we grab Michael, we grab Kenny, we walk through the block. I had the same crossing guard for 10 years.
Shout out.
Same crossing guard. So we knew
thankless
her.
job, but they need to thank all of it.
Yeah,
right?
but then you walk around the corner. I knew Uncle RW was right there. We knew Kenny's mom was going to be there. They knew my mom slept because she worked overnight. So this way they could make sure the block was getting there. So no matter what, I wasn't going to mess up my own neighborhood because I had modes of accountability every single stop sign or stoplight I got to.
So let me ask y'all this, right? As educators, have y'all seen parent participation in student learning outcomes?
Yeah.
I taught at the 12th grade level, and it was a mixed bag. It was a mixed bag, right? Like there were some, despite the fact that my school on the surface is one that I'm like, I would never send my child here. And so that automatically raises like.
That's real. Many teachers will tell you that.
I ain't seen them anywhere.
And I would tell parents that, okay? It was a father of one of the students. I didn't teach her personally, but when I found out that he lived on the block, then we started having conversations more regularly just about her and her progress or whatever. And I would tell him like, what you seeing on the parent teacher day or is not the. So I would tell parents that. But what I'm saying is, as to your question about parent engagement, it's truly a mixed bag because there were some parents that were so overly engaged that it was to the detriment of their children, right? Like I had parents that were doing their kids' homework. Can't read.
Mom, I need the poster board tomorrow. I need the poster board tomorrow, Mom. I don't know how I forgot I had a project due.
And I had parents that didn't know nothing about what was going on in their kids' life. They were getting suspended. They were getting in trouble every single day. Weren't turning in, and they didn't know and they didn't care. So it was a mixed bag.
I feel like but some type stuff it's hard to change. Like
Parent issue.
Some parents suck. That's just being honest.
Yeah.
Like
Some
no
humans
matter what, it's going to
suck.
be parents that suck, and that's why it's important to
Well,
have.
I think it's the reason why they suck.
But it's important to have like other type of guidance. Like your parents suck, but you come to school, you have a mentor, you have someone that can help steer you in the right way. You have a good group of friends that can put you on the right path. Community. It takes a village.
that's bad.
That's real. You know what I'm saying? So it's like.
And I think, ultimately, that's what I was saying. Even more than just the focus on black men, I think the point is that no matter what the situation is, we have to focus on community. Whether it's the schools stay open, whether the schools like if we want good outcomes, we have to focus on the relationships between people and navigating a human experience.
I think that's where I struggle as a whole. When I watch so much of how we talk around kids and how parents and other adults talk around them, I would also argue that we signal to young kids that we do not care for them all the time.
For sure.
And I think that's why we are also seeing this cultural difference of like, I don't have to listen to you as an adult because you have never even seen me as a valued human in this space.
For sure.
And so that's when I joke, but I'm like, when we just call them YNs and we call young girls fast and grown, we immediately dehumanize them because right away now it's no longer about the student and the outcomes. It's more so around we are either placing our own traumas onto them, we're projecting onto them, or we're just like, oh, y'all doing this whole thing. I don't want nothing to do with it because I got to worry about me and mine. And I think because we've come a lot more individualistic in nature,
Yeah.
we can't say it takes a true village because the village don't want to take care of the kids.
Right.
Yeah, and that was my point when I was just saying real quick about the whole thing was that to me, until you can do all this for just school, get these programs, but until you fix the community issue we have in these big cities and these places, the issues are going to find a way to come back, and we're going to continue the cycle because we really, like we said, parent, but it's an adult, it's a environment issue. Like, yo, the parent is stressed because they putting down their kid because their mom treated them like the cycles continue and continue and continue,
And you recognize,
and no one wants to address them.
And Philly's also a working city. We have to remind ourselves, like,
was gonna be
even
my
in the space, in my last couple years of being in a classroom, I said this is the amount of 2-parent households I've ever seen in my life. I have seen so many young kids, and working at the all boys school, I said both parents are walking in. And so to me, I'm just like, there is something more and something at large around how we're even thinking around like parent engagement. These are the most amount of fathers I have seen consistently present. I had to change my language around being like, shout out to the mamas in the room. Nope, there are equally amount of, I'm immediately like, oh, well, what's the mom? Is the mom showing up? What parent showing up? I defaulted to women. Come to find out, I'm like, oh no, there are both of them, and men are very present in their kids' lives. And I think millennial men specifically are more present in their kids' lives.
Yeah.
However, I think to the larger point is it goes back again to the larger structural issue. There's not an investment because you see what happens in Baltimore right now. Baltimore, you see crime significantly down. You see so many more kids matriculating through. Like there's data around investing in those third spaces
But can I
for
tell
our
you,
kids.
So right now, the nonprofit I'm working with is based in Baltimore, and they have the majority. I won't say the majority. They have a significant amount of the credit that the city gives to reducing those homicide rates. And JT Timpson, who is the managing director of one of the nonprofit arms that comes out of Roca, says that it's because Baltimore is coordinated. That all of the different arms of Baltimore social services have gotten into such alignment that the outreach workers that specifically work with high-risk populations, they can go into any neighborhood on any block in any street and know what the resources are that they can connect the young people on that street to. That level of coordination, Philly, is very far from, but I will say from being in the rooms, people understand that is the goal. Like in every call I'm on, every meeting, someone in the meeting is like, so where can I access the database where's the list where's the whatever? And it's like, that list, there's all these different plans to formulate them. But basically, that's what it is. It's coordination of resources. Again, Philly has a constellation of resources, but people don't know how to access them. And some level of coordination between all the different arms, all the different points is what the city really needs to make the most out of what it's already invested in.
Real quick, then we're going to take a break. But I was reading a book recently about just political power and, you know, the state of society. And the author said this quote, and the quote was, "Whose non-existence is necessary to the self-conception of this place?" And you
gotta say the author in the book. You can't just give him some credits.
I really,
this is the book
I really don't remember, but I just wrote that down.
You said me. Go ahead.
No,
Stop, yo.
I really wrote that down because when I think about Philly, I think the answer to that question is the youth. Like the youth's non-existence, they're not having a voice is necessary for us to be able to argue about these policies and argue about is drill rap this or is drill rap that, or should they be talking about this or should they be talking about that, or they need this and they need, ask them. But if we ask them, that changes the narrative for everybody who's made a narrative about what it means to be a youth in Philly, what Philly is to the youth and what they are to the Philly youth. And so in that way, their non-existence is necessary to the existence of our current structure. All right, y'all. So kick your feet up, grab your drink, loosen your tie. We about to get into the break room.
Oh, he's got it now.
Today's break room segment, we gonna kick it off with some fireworks. We seen that. No, Jay, you introduce it. You better introducing pop culture. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm going straight to. All right, so yeah, I was gonna do it. I'm just gonna I'm gonna have to chop all this up.
Oh, do you want to get that?
Yeah, please.
You heard me?
Huh?
Fix your break.
Okay.
Oh, that was cute.
Hey, yo. So on the internet, if I go back, Megan Thee Stallion and Klay Thompson started dating about 6 months ago to the internet's knowledge, but who knows how long before that they was talking. And in that dating, they've had a very great romance. Song was dropped, pictures been dropped, a bunch of content has been dropped around the relationship. And just recently, Megan Thee Stallion posted that Klay was not the guy that she claimed he thought he was in the songs and the records and the pics. He was a cheater like everyone else she's dealt with and had issues about pretty much in their relationship and said it's over. And then the internet saw the info and reacted. Now, I'm not going to speak to the reactions. We all have a different point. So if I speak to my reaction to that,
Go ahead, give your reaction. Go ahead.
my reaction to that is I understand why she did it. I know her career and the things in her career that she's done and how this has pretty much propped up her music. So one, I know from a musical standpoint, putting information out, dropping a record just like she did to promote the relationship is going to be beneficial to her. Also, social media, we're in a time period where people, that's what they do. They share relationships online. She's a celebrity. It's a part of the job and gig, especially when you do so much to improve someone's reputation. Like, not improve, but Klay didn't have one really before this. He wasn't a socialite athlete. He was just an athlete. So in that sense, she gave him a spotlight and a shine, and then she went to take that back. So I kind of understand. But go ahead, y'all got a rebuttal.
This is the Klay Thompson we're talking about. Like he's not like
He's
just
a socialite.
anybody. He don't gotta be a socialite. He's one of the, if not the second or third greatest shooter to touch a basket.
So
Different
to those women that
audiences,
pay
though.
attention to
Different
that
audiences,
matters.
yeah.
But to the
but
global population, Megan
to
Thee Stallion
downplay his whole
is
career, like that's.
I'm not downplaying his career. I'm
No,
talking
you
about as a
definitely
socialite.
No, he said the socialite part.
I said he's
He
an
said
athlete.
it.
Do you want me?
Okay.
I can
Okay.
talk about the
That's
championship.
fair. That's
That
fair.
he's one of the best
That's
shooters
fair.
of all time.
That's
But all
fair.
that is relevant to the
To
sport.
NBA, right?
Yeah.
Relevant
Yeah.
to the NBA.
To the
That's
sport,
fair.
but to the community, like again, my man, that song dropped and it hit the streets crazy. He was the
That's
hottest
fair.
nigga
No,
out
that's
just
fair.
now.
That's fair.
He
I
just
get it.
was.
I get it.
So in her taking back that, I just stamped you and I take my stamp back.
Yeah,
I think
that is
I just
what
think
happened.
that the trend of Megan Thee Stallion, right? It's like it's almost like she's gonna have a career known as a victim more than anything else she's done. Because like right now, if you look at what she was doing before that, she's on Broadway, right? That's huge. That should be huge for anybody. But right now, everyone is just talking about the Klay situation, which I understand it. It's your personal life, but sometimes we like the narrative around her is always becoming negative. Like every time something good happens, something negative overshadows that, and it does sometimes help her records, but like that's a crazy way to be.
You
known
condensing it
after a
so
while.
much in the sense of like, oh yeah, this run of because we going from Tory to this to the
Not
park
even Tory.
situation and
Before that, it was the label situation. You know what I'm saying?
But even
money,
in
but
that
it's a
situation,
lot
she
of-
was a lot looked like more artists as the person that we saw that not even at the people wasn't taking it like in that notion for her label. It was business.
So my thing is this, right? As any social person, as any person that's on social media, period, right? Wherever you put forth is part of your public persona, right? It's part of how we see you as a person.
Right.
She had a chance to be a strong women figure in music and be known for that.
For holding down for Klay.
No,
That's all that
not
changed
holding
it.
it. I'm just talking about the extent of her career. I think every time, I think each one of these decisions ultimately is a PR decision. It's a decision on how you will be viewed, right? She didn't need this to be a superstar. Like she already had the support of
She didn't need what?
a lot of people. The Klay Thompson announcement. She didn't need that to be anything towards. If she's going to
The
be
announcement of the relationship or the breakup announcement?
the breakup announcement, because the breakup announcement only positions you in the situation.
But you should be mad at the
It's
relationship
narrative
announcement
control.
too.
That's-
Breakup announcement was narrative control. Like it was, I'm not going to allow him to
Okay,
get
okay,
on
okay.
the internet and say anything before I get on the
But
internet
he
and
don't
say
be on the
anything.
internet though.
It
But he
doesn't-
would have.
it-
But the blogs would have ran with it. No matter what she would have done, there would have been a narrative created around it. So at the same time that part of me understands what you're saying about the how she will be remembered. I think there is a large part of music history that will remember her largely through the context of the controversies that have surrounded her. And honestly, as a real OG when she first came out fan, that does hurt my heart because that's not how
Right.
I
Bro,
related
That'd be like if
to
Nicki
her.
Minaj-
bro,
that'd be
spare
like if
me,
Nicki
spare me.
Minaj got-
Nicki career is done.
Yeah.
Please
But,
don't
no,
bring Nicki
but
Minaj in
listen,
conversation.
even with Nicki, all of the things, she's still gonna get remembered as a rapper.
No,
that
she's
was
not.
good.
No, she's
You
not.
don't think that
No,
Nicki
she-
Minaj Minaj.
Her career,
when people think Nicki
the
Minaj, they're
damage
not gonna
Nicki
think
Minaj
rapper.
has done to her career
They
these
not
last
gonna
years
think-
compared to what
No.
she's talking about Meg with a post is crazy. Nicki career damage is at an all-time high. She just lost the last thing she could stand on, which was her husband and strong family
broke.
support. That whole situation is gone. So like in the situation, like
So you don't think Nicki Minaj is
But I
going to be
think- I
remembered
think-
as a
No.
rapper?
Nicki is gonna-
no. Hey, who got a Grammy?
3.
What are we talking about?
But-
like you talk
How
like
did-
music. Nicki is go ahead.
No, but I was gonna say, like, I think my push to a lot of these criticisms is also the fact that, like, I would also say on the other end, I think I don't like the position of being like, well, the ways in which that you come out and your story's being told and all of this, because I think it's also important to think around how media treats Black women at large, but how media also treated Megan Thee Stallion specifically. And so if Meg, I think I responded to your tweet about your post about this.
Right.
I said at the end of the day, if Meg wouldn't have said anything,
They would've ate her
somebody was going to send out her business, and
Soon
if
as
she
they
would have
unfollow
controlled
each
it,
other.
It's a fact.
Soon as they
They
unfollow
unfollowed
each other, it's on the shade
but
room. Boom,
already
there
they're
you
gonna.
go.
But the
Story.
position wouldn't have been Klay Thompson
Fact.
did anything wrong. The
would've been
position
Meg Thee
would have
Stallion.
been Meg. Why would you get with Meg Thee Stallion, who's always twerking online and doing this stuff? So either way, she would have experienced
Exactly.
being
Either
the. She would. Media would have victimized her anyways. First and foremost, I think. Secondly, though, I think it's grossly irresponsible to flatten the legacy that she has built up. And even when we talk about from a PR standpoint, we only want to remember the bad stuff. If we're actually talking about the things that she has put out, if anything, Megan Thee Stallion, jokingly, but also was putting out Tried Wife content. If you think around it, my baby, you got her cooking online with her family. She's at courtside with the mom. She was doing everything we ask a woman to do. Correct?
Right.
She was doing all of that. And still to this day, y'all are going to ignore how she was able to take on Megan Pete, her actual identity, to Megan Thee Stallion, a stage identity, because we struggle with divorcing the two. And so if we're thinking around, oh, we need celebrities to talk to us a little bit more, and we want to see a little bit more of their human side. She's graduated from college while running a tour, built out an entire tour, has 3 businesses that she's run, employs a crap ton of Black people in Florida for a damn Popeyes that she's opened up. Like she does, she's a fitness coach. She's a businesswoman.
No, she's a badass.
And we early in her career.
But
We're early, guys.
But listen, real quick, on that same, I agree. She's done all of these things. So why bring the attention to the negative?
Because I bring the attention to the positive.
Because look, when she brings the attention to the negative, what does it do? You get the memes of all 20 people that she slept with.
Which is
She
still,
get that all
which
year.
is still grossly
She get that all year.
inappropriate.
Me personally,
But do
my threads is full of these things, right? Probably because I looked at one. So do you see two?
I
You
was
see
gonna say,
three?
well, you might
Hey,
also
hey,
you might follow some
Hey,
incels,
give it a
too.
week, it'll be gone.
You might
This is
follow
microwave
incels.
time.
But I haven't.
How would it have gone better?
Because-
no. What would she have needed to do that would have made it better?
And I don't like that we're positioning it as something that she needed to
Yeah,
do.
hold it down.
He's just
No,
an
no, no,
ancient
I-
nigga.
so-
So what I'm saying is,
We're just
how do
holding
you
it down, do for her in the
But the
But the
situation.
reason
Go ahead,
I'm
tell
asking
me.
that question is because there is literally nothing that she could have done that would have made it better. Had she the positioning of her as a person on the internet for everyone to dissect and take apart is what it means to be a celebrity, right? But as a Black woman, you're extra scrutinized to that. And then as a Black woman who was a victim of violence, that was a part of this public freaking all of the circus of that thing, you're extra scrutinized about. There is nothing that she could have done that would have made this not happen. That would have
Because
made
everybody's
niggas not
still mad
comment.
that the state took Tory to
there's
that. I said, y'all
nothing
mad
she
because the
could've
state did it. She
done.
didn't even want to do it. Like, what are you talking about?
I think
She
I
lied
think
on
what
her
more people
pussy and
saying
niggas
is
couldn't handle
you kind of get like, you get tired of the narrative, like you get tired of negative narratives around someone,
Right.
and after a while it's like, okay, you see a Megan highlight, all right, what didn't happen now? Instead of like it being like she was on every time something bad happened, like she ended up on the Disney joint, right? She won the awards. Like it's a pattern of negative, positive, negative. But after a while, it's just like this situation. If you just didn't say nothing, like nobody would have just been like, oh, did they break up or they?
Yes,
like,
they
Yes,
would
they
have.
would've.
It would have been, but look,
Yes,
it
they
would have been a
would've.
smoother.
There
It
are
would have been a
people
smoother.
didn't
on
do
the
it.
internet
But look,
dedicated to checking to see if you follow
Bro, they-
somebody
they-
or not.
But look, it would have been a.
You
That's
telling
how
me,
Halle
like,
and
they not
DDG
gonna-
got
like,
caught.
Bro,
Right.
I didn't
It would've
even
been a-
know Klay Thompson dated Coco Jones. I didn't know that until Megan Thee
Yes,
Stallion.
that's the time on the internet. That's not that time.
But I'm saying that's not too far gone.
Right.
What
she
you mean
married-
not too far gone?
Well, I'm
She's
saying it was
like
she's
two- it was
she's
like 2
engaged to
years
Donovan
ago.
Mitchell right now.
It
so-
would have been a smoother transition if she didn't just put that out there in that way. She could have waited till after the like. No one is just searching if they felt like your PR team has to be better to
Right.
eliminate the noise that can come off of something that like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I know if you post this, what's about to happen, right? Like you just had to cancel it. Like it was unnecessary at the
Well,
at the
no,
time.
she was going to cancel. Let's be clear. She was going to cancel her performance regardless because I'm not going to go through heartbreak and have to show up to work every day either. Like that's all. And again, she has the privilege to do that because not all of us can do that. However, you thought you were going to have her be able to publicly be scrutinized. And again, I think around it, even on like having a platform, right? If we want to just empathize on that regard, having a platform means that there's a part of my life that is not mine anymore.
Exactly.
And so there are things that I want to keep private, and there are things I have the privilege of keeping private because I'm not a Megan Thee Stallion. However, for me, I can't walk down the street with any Joe Schmo because they're gonna be like, "Oh, I saw Marquise walking. I saw Marquise doing this. Oh, so and so, da 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 da." Right.
So you think she tried to avoid being with someone else potentially if she didn't just announce the breakup? Because Clay don't get on.
Bro,
She
we
would have
didn't
needed to
do
not
nothing.
announce the
Right.
relationship. And
So,
this is where I will come in. She needed, if what y'all are saying is true, she needed to not announce the relationship in the first place.
Yeah, that's
so the relationship didn't need all of the media.
But
and
remember,
the PR
when the
around it.
relationship was starting, they already had paparazzi sent photos
And so then it
and
was started
said,
against
"Oh,
their
we
will.
saw
It started
Megan Thee
against their
Stallion
will.
and
It
Klay
did start against
Thompson."
their will.
Yeah, it's a
Bro,
different
like
conversation.
tell her
it is-
she was in France dating a soccer player and they
can't-
found her at a wedding.
She can't avoid that. She can't avoid that. What I'm saying is like
I'm saying more capitalizing on the relationship for content, which is a choice. At the point at which people say, all right, we know that you're dating this person, saying that now I'm going to make the intimate moments of our relationship like fodder for your entertainment is a choice, and she made that choice.
I mean, low key, I ain't gonna be mad at it. I said if we got a lemonade, we got a velvet rope from Janet.
I'm crying.
We got a couple
That's
things.
what I'm saying.
It's
Put
about
it
to
in
go
the
right
music.
in-
If you're
Put it
gonna
in
pop
music.
it,
But
Put it in the
I
music.
am.
that make money. What did Cardi B say? They gonna make money off of my breakup regardless.
Hit a
why not?
rollout. What you
you
mean?
talking
Put it in the
about?
music. This the rollout.
Right,
That's
and
a-
look,
that's
we
a good
all
point.
discussed her on
That's
this
a good point.
podcast.
That's a good point.
But
Because they is going to make money off her breakup regardless, so I might as well make money too. Yeah, man.
like I said, this is the trend of Megan.
Yeah,
What's the trend of
Megan?
Megan? What is that?
It is, bro. It
Something
is, bro.
unfortunately is going to happen.
It's
She's gonna
victim. It's victimhood after victimhood, and
But
that's
I think,
unfair.
but I
because
think
she's
it's,
a,
but I
she's a
also,
good rapper.
but I
Victimhood
also,
after victimhood.
But I think it is unfair
Yo,
because
life
she's a
happens,
good
cuz.
rapper.
But I think
It's
outside,
You
but-
acting like she ain't like she chose this shit.
Album after
Life
album
happens.
about being the underdog. Niggas don't like me. Niggas want to take my spot.
Like-
Album after album after album after album. That's not a victim narrative.
Let's also be very clear. We are also demonizing her for the ain't shit men that try to take advantage of her. If you pay attention to every single thing that has happened, there is an ain't shit nigga on the other side of that. And so, if we, hold on. But peep game.
Oh, here from the party fan. I heard that, King. Please, you niggas don't even. Oh
Come
my
on.
goodness.
But in reality, though, I do want us to also, what I would push, I did a Substack article actually talking around like us as black men
Put us
don't need to
on.
see ourselves as Klay Thompson. I think so often that we are so quick to demonize the women for not being smarter in who they picked. We always talk around like, oh, well, the women should have known. Even if we're all calling Klay Thompson corny on the internet, we were all doing it. Like, who's this cornball next to Meg? How he even get her?
Facts.
Right? We're all doing it. And then we see that he's non-monogamous can't even give him that one. He's a cheater, right?
What she said.
Yeah, right. And so I think it's important for us to think around the label that tried to take advantage of her. Everybody gets enforced 360 deals. Megan Thee Stallion actually just talked around it because a lot of people suffer in silence and get shelved as an artist. Then you also have her losing out on her family. So her grandmom and her mom passed. That's the world, right? You have somebody like a Tory Lanez who shot her. She said she didn't want to take him to the state, but because he's an immigrant who had a gun, who shot an American citizen, the state had no choice but to take him to jail. That's not on her, right? And then you have somebody else like a Klay Thompson who then, knowing the kind of grief and what Meg seeks out in terms of family, still do her dirty in this way. If you wanted to be non-monogamous, you say that from the beginning. If that's something that you didn't know if you could go through or not, you say that from the beginning. But how we even talk around him is, oh, well, we already, and who was it? Ebro told on himself. When he was just like, oh, when a man gets money anyways, they're going to do what they do. So you should have known when he got his money. So at the end of the day, what we told ourselves as men.
That's corny.
No, but
That's
as
a
men,
lot of the sentiment out there. That's a lot of the
that-
sentiment out there.
Then that's my thing. I'm like, we told on each other as men that we don't even have faith that somebody that we see as a cornball like Klay Thompson
Right, could
could
even
even be.
Yeah.
So what happens to the good guys who think that they're worth it, or the good guys who end up going last? We end up just reinforcing. So what he did for black men who think they are good niggas who happen to be nice or whatever,
Yeah.
they are also gonna be the ones who are gonna get the backlash. So I would argue a lot of the time, I don't want us to continue to place the blame on Megan for picking a partner who presented himself as something more. I think we need to place the blame on a person who lied to another woman and then also capitalize off of her trauma, because at the end of the day, her media review versus his media review are going to be two different things. Yeah. And I'm getting off the high horse.
It's just like, how do we know? Yeah. Like, it's so easy to say, like through all that, right? It's just showing like you were perfect and everybody else was in the wrong when they got a story also. And if you look at the other people's like a party or the big, like what they saying is kind of like it's almost
the baby came out and said he slept with her.
They saying right this way.
If Party made this record,
but like, they saying Clay, right? He can only deal with he dealing with multiple women, right? Megan also has a history, if you listen to them, dealing with multiple men. It's the same. You could just be two freaks. Like, bro, we don't know.
That's not the
like,
case.
Not in their
that's not the case when I'm at your family house on Thanksgiving. When we all rocking, and you showing me off to the world. I'm at the courtside. Like, what you mean?
You just seen her to the world. Get on Gel. Did you sleep with him?
No, I knew that was coming. Oh, she lied, so I'm gonna hate it. I lied one time. Niggas lying to raps every day.
I did a joint earlier, right?
Niggas do lie every day.
But look, we're still talking about niggas lie, where we have a clear example of how a female lied.
Once.
And it was, it's not just once, but it was just brushed off.
But it's not the fact that it was brushed off.
And it was on Gel. You know how Gel.
But do you remember? But I think I struggle with that a lot of the time. And I say my push oftentimes is we see what the media already does. We already see if Meg would have said she slept with him, people would have said, well, they were already claiming she deserved to get shot. That's one. That is horrible. Which is horrible. But if you also pay attention, it's very important. If you study mass communications and PR specifically, you already know. We as a community may have been like, oh, they probably already slept together, whatever, right? That's the quiet truth.
But it was clear. It was clear as day.
It can be clear as day. But you still saying no, it's still going to be very important, because at the end of the day, are you just going to relegate me to a whore that does not require or get your respect for my humanity, right? And so when you do that on a national space like that, in the height of what's happening, with everybody coming at you, with all of your people that you may have had sex with, because if everybody's talking around who you had sex with, they gonna probably say the same shit about you.
There's no space for her humanity.
So when it came out, there's
no space for her humanity, and that's like. There isn't actually, because she embodies two things at once. She's not trying to embody. She is embodying like a black woman who demands respect. That says,
and she's tall, and she's statuesque, talented. That's different.
She is at
she's
the same time.
She's not a damsel in distress.
I'm not saying that, but did you if y'all followed the case right and you actually understood the situation of before the gunshot, everything that happened before that, it really don't. It's not matching up to what you're trying to paint her to be.
And she be on the internet crying. So it's like,
what do you mean?
Wait.
She wasn't on the internet crying?
Yo, there's peaks and valleys in everything y'all saying.
Every single
you
situation.
act like she on the internet all day. Oh my God.
But what I'm saying is,
no, bro, she lived her life.
Humanity means that you're not just one thing. It means that you're
so I can lie on another person. I can lie on another person, right? I'm not saying for sympathy.
I'm lying on myself.
But what does she lie about?
I'm lying on myself, not another person.
Did you sleep with right for a reason? And it's a reason you asked that question, right? To just understand the broadness of your relationship.
Right.
Were y'all romantically dealing with each other? Like, what was the reason for this to even happen, for y'all to be that close?
But why would it?
Because when it dropped and they found out she was lying, now everybody like, there she goes. She's a liar.
Did it change the standards to the court case?
Anything no.
Okay.
It was inadmissible.
My biggest thing is we are talking about bad media training. We are talking about bad PR, but we cannot possibly be talking about a bad human being at the center of it, because y'all don't analyze anybody the freak else in culture like this. You don't take none of the men that you idolize that make bad music, that talk about killing niggas, that have messed up.
Y'all go up for Future and he's ran through.
Support pedophiles.
But y'all don't.
Future's ran through.
My biggest point is that at the center of that, you do not take the individual and scrutinize their individual parts and their humanity like this to say this is a good person, this is a bad person, he a lie. You don't do that. You're to a degree able to separate the music and the whatever. So I feel this protective instinct over Meg as a person, because nobody in these discourses is freaking doing that. It's saying that she's a person that we can tear apart because we heard this sensational headline and we heard this sensation, and now we piecing together the details from the court case. It's like, that's a person. And my only thing for her, like, girl, woman to woman, is that I wish that she protected her herself publicly more with what she chose to share with the world, because I'm like, you are a vulnerable flower. At the same time that you wear this stallion, you are, and I just wish that you would I wish that somebody was holding you. I wish that somebody was telling you to create a space around yourself that does not give these niggas with these mics access to know what you're doing.
But also she lost that circle.
Yeah, right. Her
They
friends
passed.
and her, her
They
family,
passed.
her mother, all of that, and that's what I mean. You are vulnerable, and I wish that you had somebody around you. I wish that you
So
something to protect
can you be a vulnerable flower and still promote killing?
I think that most people.
What?
Listen. I don't know what you're actually saying.
Go ahead.
But
No,
I
I'm
think
saying this,
the
right?
vulnerable flower of it is that you are a human being.
So
is what I
Megan Thee
mean.
Stallion obviously is promoting a different type of lifestyle that is arguable if it's healthy for the culture at large, right?
Well, she's also.
So
Did you listen to her actual? Did you listen to Traumazine alone?
no, the last album I listened to from Megan was the Snake one.
I would actually argue if you listen to Traumazine, so often we talk around wanting a Doechii, and actually Doechii called out niggas for this too. But if you actually listen to Traumazine, she's actually exploring grief, mental wellness. She's exploring topics that are divorced of
And
sex.
that's what I mean. It's
and
the
so
headlines that
often,
people are talking about. It's not actually her as a person.
But
and that's
she
what-
did that to herself.
No,
She
she
does
yo,
it.
she
yo,
made the
the
hot girl
media
movement.
I gotta.
it's just like
She
Hope
didn't make the hot-
she don't get B-sides. She don't get to make hot music and do what she wants. She does she's a
But
musician.
But what I'm saying, if you're gonna promote the hot girl,
then you got to be that person forever for the rest of the time.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not saying you got to be that
That's
person.
what that
for
is.
but
What you're saying. If you did this one time and that's how the media chose to paint you with a broad brush, even though that's what they do to black women every time, then that's your fault because you was this person once and the media painted you like this person forever. That's your
we
fault.
didn't like Kid Cudi when he stopped smoking weed.
That's what I mean.
Look, I agree. Like I said,
I mean, he was a different person.
What happened? The pit, like I said, and I don't, cause like when we talk about it, it makes it seem like we're against. Like no one.
We got 3 minutes left.
I'm not against Megan and all that, and I sympathize for her. It's just sad to know her career, unfortunately, might be always telling around her being a victim.
Yeah.
Disagree.
I
Her
disagree
career
with
is
that.
Very extensive and it's just starting.
Yeah,
But
it's audiences. I think from your perspective, that's how you see it, and there's a whole audience of people that don't see it in that same light, and that's just like.
But you don't got no Meg
perspective
album
gap.
saved on your phone. You not her demo.
You got a
You're not
Meg
her-
album
you're
saved
not
on
her
your phone?
demographic.
Yes.
You're not her
I'm a fan of
demographic.
Megan. I had the little.
But I would also argue, like, even in this
Apple would
large,
never get the function jumping, sir.
I think she does. And I would also, especially just for the audience listening to this too, is think around this conversation in a larger context. I think what also made this one so exacerbated and why I know I even struggle with positioning Meg as a victim is because leading up to that, we also saw 6 black women be murdered by an intimate partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this conversation in terms of how we will also see, well, she shouldn't have did this. She should have been here. She should have did this. She should have been a better partner. She should have been this. This is also what happens when women are being killed and how we justify their killing a lot of the time. And so I think so often this, and again, using pop culture as an insight to actually what's going on, this is where culture and politics actually intersect, right? We are seeing somebody who is being consistently violated, but we're also asking the woman, why didn't you do better? Because you know men aren't anything, right? But that's the reason that we say we raise boys
truth, though.
and we love or
That's
we love
literally
boys
the
and raise
instincts.
girls.
That's the
And so
instincts.
when you actually think around it, for us as men, what I actually argue to do is as we practice empathy, as we practice sympathy, as we think around our relationship to women at large, oftentimes the reason that we will react this way to when we see something happen to a Meg or a Beyonce or a Rihanna a lot of the time, we all said, remember, even back to Rihanna, well, what did Rihanna do to Chris for him to want to do that, right? And so we immediately always blame the person who was on the side of being harmed. We never actually talk around the person who actually committed the harm in itself. And so I would actually argue, at least for us, to make sure that we're not feeding into this misogyny, we're not feeding into this violence against women, because so often we have a higher expectation that women will pick a better
Yes.
partner. We never have the expectation that
the
men
man
will
is gonna
be
be
the
a better
better
man.
partner.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's where I
yes.
struggle.
And with that, we go.
Yeah.
And with that, we appreciate y'all for taking this ride with us. This has been another episode of Who's Hiring. We once again appreciate Keith and appreciate Threezy for making it out today.
Follow them both. Follow us on all platforms, all places. Who's Hiring on YouTube? Subscribe,
Like, comment,
keep
subscribe.
it a bean. 3Z Kane on YouTube, and yeah.
We're going to holler at you.
To the hopeless, control the game like the coaches. Stay dropping gems, we the winners, coaching, you know this. Never coasting, Always elevating, staying focused. When it's all said and done, we the winners, coach. Yeah, we the winners, coach.